Ah, there you are. You felt it, didn't you? That strange pressure behind your thoughts. That moment where a passing idea lingered a second longer than it should have. That split second where you realized your mind isn't just wandering lately, it's building. Welcome to the phase nobody warns you about. Not because it's rare, but because most people don't survive it consciously. Right now, you're not just thinking, you're loading something. And the universe is listening way more closely than usual. Which is not comforting. It's fascinating, slightly unhinged, and potentially disastrous if you keep pretending nothing's different. They're not watching you yet. That comes later. What's happening now is quieter. Your thoughts are behaving like instructions. Your emotions are acting like requests. Your casual what-ifs are being treated like commitments. That's why you've been feeling that low-grade tension. Not panic, not excitement, but that eerie sense that something is leaning forward behind the curtain, waiting to see what you'll do next. This is the part where people accidentally create problems and then swear it came out of nowhere. This is also the part where others stumble into breakthroughs and claim they just got lucky. Neither group is telling the full story. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. What have you been mentally rehearsing lately? Not the polished optimism, not the thoughts you'd admit out loud, the real loops. The ones you replay when you're tired, distracted, or alone. Because right now, those loops aren't harmless. They're fertile. They're gaining momentum. They're testing how much reality is willing to bend to accommodate them. And if you're not paying attention, you'll wake up surrounded by circumstances that look suspiciously like your inner world decided to externalize itself overnight. This is why you need to be careful. Not afraid. Careful. There's a difference. Fear scatters energy. Care sharpens it. And what's moving through you right now is sharp enough to cut in either direction. The energy of creation doesn't discriminate. It doesn't reward morality. It doesn't pause to ask if you're ready. It simply responds efficiently, almost aggressively. Whatever you keep feeding, emotionally, mentally, imaginatively, is being taken seriously. You might already be noticing the speed, how things are responding faster than they used to, how conversations feel loaded, how certain ideas refuse to stay hypothetical. You think about someone and they reach out. You imagine an outcome and the pieces start rearranging themselves without consulting you. You feel irritation and suddenly obstacles appear as if summoned. You feel curiosity and suddenly information finds you. It's subtle enough to dismiss, but persistent enough to feel intentional. That's the danger. And the opportunity. Most people think creation only happens when they're trying to make something happen. When they're visualizing intensely or setting intentions like they're filing paperwork with the cosmos. That's not what this phase is about. This is background creation, passive creation. The stuff that happens while you're telling yourself nothing is happening. The stray thoughts, the emotional residue, the stories you keep telling yourself about how things usually go. That's the raw material being processed right now. No ceremony required. And here's the part that usually irritates people when they finally see it. You don't get to opt out. You can only participate consciously or unconsciously. Either way, the process continues. Ignoring it doesn't stop it. It just hands the steering wheel to whatever habit has the strongest grip on your attention. And habits are lazy. They don't choose what's best. They choose what's familiar. That's why this moment feels contradictory. Calm, but intense. Quiet, but charged. Nothing dramatic is happening on the surface, yet everything feels like it's leaning forward, like the pause before a decision you didn't know you were making. This isn't pressure from outside. This is internal momentum reaching a threshold. And thresholds don't announce themselves politely. They reveal themselves after you've crossed them. You might feel tempted to drift, to daydream more than usual, to mentally rewrite the past or fantasize about different futures. Normally that would just be mental noise. Right now, it's rehearsal. And rehearsals have consequences when the stage lights come on, whether you're ready or not. The energy moving through you doesn't distinguish between deliberate focus and idle imagination. It just multiplies whatever you linger on. This is where people get sloppy. They assume that because they're not doing anything, nothing is being built. They underestimate how powerful repetition is when conditions are right. They underestimate how quickly an idea can turn into a pattern when the environment is cooperative. And right now, the environment is extremely cooperative. You might also notice people around you acting off, responding to you differently, misreading you, overreacting, projecting. That's not random. When your internal state shifts, even subtly, it changes how others orient themselves around you. Some will be drawn in, some will get irritated, some will suddenly reveal exactly where they stand without meaning to. You didn't cause it, you just triggered visibility. And here's the darkly funny part. You're not being asked to do more. You're being asked to stop feeding the wrong things, which sounds simple until you realize how much of your inner life runs on autopilot, how often you revisit frustration out of habit, how quickly you assume disappointment, how easily you rehearse outcomes you claim you don't want. During low energy periods, those habits take years to materialize into consequences. Right now, they're on fast forward. This is why people experience sudden turns during phases like this. Sudden success, sudden chaos, sudden clarity, sudden regret, same energy, different focus. Creation doesn't care what you call it. It just responds to what you keep alive. If you're feeling restless, that's normal. Restlessness is often the first symptom of unused potential, realizing it has leverage. Something in you knows it has influence right now, and it doesn't want to waste it. That can feel exhilarating or deeply uncomfortable depending on how honest you are with yourself. Because influence removes excuses. You can't hide behind "nothing I do matters" when evidence starts piling up to the contrary. This is also where people sabotage themselves accidentally. They feel the intensity and try to escape it, distract themselves, numb out, spiral. Anything to avoid the responsibility of precision. But avoidance is still focus. It still feeds something. And during periods like this, even resistance gets amplified. So no, this isn't about forcing positivity or pretending everything is fine. It's about awareness. About noticing where your attention naturally goes when no one is directing it. About catching yourself mid-thought and asking, is this what I want multiplying right now? Because multiplication is happening whether you supervise it or not. And here's the part that separates people who ride this wave from people who get dragged by it. You don't need control, you need clarity. Control tightens, clarity redirects. Control creates tension, clarity creates alignment. Right now, tension will just feed more tension. Alignment, on the other hand, allows creation to organize itself around something coherent. You may feel like something is being cleared out. Old frustrations losing their grip. Old fears feeling less convincing. Or oddly enough, becoming louder right before they fade. That's normal too. Patterns don't disappear quietly. They flare up when they realize they're losing relevance. Don't mistake that for regression. It's often the opposite. What you're standing in right now is not a conclusion. It's a setup, a preparation phase where small internal adjustments have disproportionate external effects. That's why you need to be deliberate without being rigid, observant without being obsessive, curious without being reckless. Because the next part of this isn't about what you create consciously. It's about what emerges when you stop feeding the things that have been quietly draining you for years, when you stop rehearsing limitations out of habit, when you let unfamiliar possibilities take up mental space without immediately shutting them down. And once that starts happening, once you notice how quickly things respond when you shift even slightly, you're going to realize something unsettling and empowering at the same time. This intensity isn't random. It didn't show up to punish you or reward you. It showed up because you're finally capable of handling consequences faster than before. Most people never reach this phase because consequences terrify them. Not the obvious ones, but the subtle ones. The ones that arrive without drama and still change everything. You're different, not because you're fearless, but because you're tired of pretending that nothing you think, feel, or choose really matters. Right now, it matters more than usual. And that realization alone already separates you from most people moving through the world half asleep. What's happening now is refinement. The excess is starting to burn off, not explosively, methodically. Old emotional habits are losing efficiency. Old coping mechanisms aren't delivering the same comfort. Old narratives feel heavier than they used to. That's not loss, that's incompatibility. You're outgrowing patterns that only existed to help you survive versions of yourself you no longer occupy. This is why some things are starting to irritate you more than they should. Conversations that once felt harmless now feel draining. Environments that once felt neutral now feel loud. People who thrived on your availability are sensing a shift they can't quite name. You're not pulling away intentionally. Your energy is just reallocating. And reallocation always exposes dependencies. Here's the part people rarely acknowledge. When creation energy spikes, it doesn't just build new things. It reveals inefficiencies. It highlights leaks. It shines an unflattering light on where your attention has been going without a return. And once you see those leaks, you can't unsee them. You start noticing how often you give without replenishment. How often you entertain thoughts that never lead anywhere useful. How often you keep doors open out of politeness long after the air stopped circulating. This is not the moment to romanticize struggle. Struggle is not noble here. It's wasteful. Right now, effort without direction just feeds exhaustion faster. Precision matters more than intensity. Awareness matters more than ambition. You don't need to push harder. You need to stop bleeding energy into places that no longer deserve access. And yes, this is where things get uncomfortable. Because some of what you've been feeding isn't external. It's internal loyalty. Loyalty to outdated self-images. Loyalty to stories where you're always the one adapting. Loyalty to versions of yourself that learned to stay small to stay safe. That loyalty once served a purpose. It kept you functional. It kept you moving. But right now, it's costing you momentum. Momentum is the key word here. You're not starting from zero. You're carrying speed. That's why even small internal adjustments are producing noticeable effects. That's why half decisions are suddenly showing consequences. That's why hesitation feels heavier than action. When momentum is present, direction becomes everything. You may notice that certain desires feel sharper now. Less negotiable, less theoretical. You don't just want change, you want alignment. You want coherence between what you think, what you feel, and what you tolerate. And tolerance is the silent architect of outcomes. What you allow repeatedly becomes structure. What you excuse becomes expectation. What you delay addressing eventually demands attention at inconvenient times. This phase is ruthless in a quiet way. It doesn't attack you, it exposes you. It shows you where your words and your inner behavior don't match. And the exposure isn't public, it's internal. You feel it as restlessness, as irritation, as a sense that something is off even when everything looks fine on paper. Pay attention to that feeling. It's not dissatisfaction, it's calibration. Something in you is adjusting its standards. And once standards rise internally, reality has no choice but to respond eventually. The timing is unpredictable. The direction is not. You might also find that opportunities feel different now. Less shiny, more weighted. You're not drawn to everything that promises growth. You're drawn to what feels clean, what feels precise, what doesn't require you to abandon yourself to participate. That's discernment sharpening. And sharpening tools can cut you if you're careless. This is why you need to slow your reactions without slowing your awareness. Snap reactions right now can lock in paths you didn't intend to walk long term. Pauses are powerful here, not avoidance. Pauses, the kind that let you feel whether something expands you or just stimulates you temporarily. Temporary stimulation is seductive during high creation phases. It feels like progress. It feels like movement. But stimulation without alignment burns energy fast and leaves very little behind. Alignment, on the other hand, feels almost boring at first. Calm, clear, undramatic, until you realize how much ground it covers quietly. You may be tempted to test this energy, to poke at it, to see how far it goes. That's natural. Curiosity is part of the process. Just understand that experimentation carries more weight right now. Small experiments can snowball quickly, which is exciting and inconvenient, sometimes simultaneously. Notice how your internal dialogue is changing, not louder, sharper. You're catching yourself sooner, interrupting old spirals mid-sentence, questioning assumptions you used to accept automatically. That's not self-doubt, that's self-audit. And audits are how inefficiencies get eliminated. This is also why sleep, dreams, and idle moments may feel more vivid. When conscious distractions quiet down, background processing takes the lead. Insights arrive sideways. Solutions show up without formal invitations. Don't dismiss them because they didn't arrive through effort. Effort is not the only currency here. The mistake people make in phases like this is trying to define everything too quickly. Labeling, categorizing, explaining. That urge to box things in is a control reflex. Control reduces uncertainty, but it also reduces potential. Right now, potential thrives in space, in allowing things to develop without immediately forcing meaning onto them. You don't need to understand everything that's happening to cooperate with it. You just need to notice what feels draining versus what feels stabilizing. Notice what requires you to shrink versus what allows you to stay intact. Notice what you feel compelled to chase versus what seems to meet you halfway. That distinction matters now more than ever, because chasing creates friction, meeting creates flow. And flow during periods like this compounds faster than effort ever could. You may feel like certain doors are closing without discussion. That's not punishment, that's filtration. When your internal state shifts, anything incompatible naturally loses access, sometimes quietly, sometimes abruptly. Either way, the result is the same: less noise, more signal. And with more signal comes responsibility. Not responsibility in the heavy sense. Responsibility in the sense of authorship. You're beginning to realize that you're not just reacting anymore. You're shaping, even when you're not trying to. Especially when you're not trying to. That realization can feel isolating, because it means you can't fully relate to people who insist nothing they do matters, who blame randomness for patterns they refuse to examine, who treat their inner world like a junk drawer and wonder why their external life feels cluttered. You don't need to confront them. You don't need to explain yourself. Explanation dissipates energy here. Presence does more. Your shifts will speak for themselves, and not everyone will like what they hear. This is where discernment becomes protection, not walls, filters. You're learning where to place your attention so it multiplies something useful instead of something familiar. That learning curve is steep, but it's temporary. Once the calibration stabilizes, things feel simpler, cleaner, less effortful. But before that happens, there's a narrowing, a period where options feel fewer but more meaningful, where distractions lose their appeal, where you start choosing depth over breadth without consciously deciding to. That narrowing is not contraction, it's focus. And focus, right now, is the difference between accidentally recreating old cycles and allowing something entirely different to take shape. You may notice that your patience is changing, not thinning, clarifying. You're less willing to explain yourself, less interested in justifying boundaries, less motivated to keep things afloat that require constant emotional maintenance. That's not coldness, that's efficiency. And efficiency is a natural side effect of heightened creation energy. Waste becomes intolerable when output accelerates. This is also where guilt tries to sneak in, wearing familiar disguises. The urge to soften your standards so others don't feel uncomfortable. The temptation to second-guess clarity because it might inconvenience someone else. Watch that impulse carefully. Right now, guilt is often just misdirected loyalty. Loyalty to older versions of relationships that were built around your availability rather than your alignment. Notice how some people respond when you stop overextending. Some will respect it instantly. Others will push. Others will suddenly become dramatic, confused, or distant. None of those reactions require your correction. They're information, clean, unfiltered data about who is benefiting from your diffusion versus who can meet you at your current level of focus. This narrowing also applies internally. Certain thought patterns don't survive scrutiny anymore. You catch exaggerations faster. You question emotional assumptions sooner. You're less willing to spiral just because a thought is loud. That doesn't mean emotions disappear. It means they stop running the entire operation unchecked. And here's something most people misunderstand. Focus doesn't make life rigid. It makes it responsive. When your attention isn't fragmented, you can adapt faster. You can pivot without panic. You can notice subtle shifts before they become crises. Fragmentation, on the other hand, creates the illusion of flexibility while actually slowing everything down. Right now, you're becoming more responsive by becoming more selective. That's why your tolerance for nonsense is dropping. That's why forced conversations feel heavier. That's why environments that don't support clarity feel draining almost immediately. Your nervous system is recalibrating to efficiency, and inefficiency feels like static. You might feel a strange combination of calm and urgency. Calm because you're not scrambling. Urgency because you can feel momentum building and you don't want to misdirect it. That combination is rare, Most people only feel one or the other. When both are present, it means something is lining up internally that hasn't before. This is also where people often ask the wrong question. They ask, "What should I do?" That's a low-quality question right now. Action will reveal itself naturally once focus stabilizes. The better question is, what am I still feeding that doesn't belong in the next version of my life? That question removes more obstacles than any action plan ever could. Because creation energy doesn't just add, it amplifies. And amplification without discernment magnifies clutter just as easily as it magnifies progress. If your internal environment is crowded, things feel chaotic fast. If it's clean, things organize themselves with minimal effort. You may notice that some desires you thought were essential are quietly dissolving, not with drama, with indifference. They simply don't grip you the same way. That's not loss, that's recalibration. Desire isn't disappearing, it's refining, becoming less about compensation and more about expression. This is why chasing feels wrong right now. Not because ambition is bad, but because misaligned ambition wastes too much energy. What feels right is attraction without strain. Movement that doesn't require you to override your instincts to maintain it. Progress that doesn't demand self-betrayal as an entry fee. You're also learning the difference between pressure and pull. Pressure feels urgent but draining. Pull feels calm but persistent. Pressure screams. Pull doesn't need to. During this phase, following pressure leads to exhaustion. Following pull leads to unexpected efficiency. And yes, this can feel lonely at times. Not because you're isolated, but because fewer things resonate deeply. Surface-level engagement loses its grip. You're not interested in being everywhere. You're interested in being effective. That shift alone changes your entire relationship with time. Time starts behaving differently when focus sharpens. Hours stretch or compress, depending on alignment. Tasks that used to feel heavy move faster. Things that once filled your day lose their hold. You're not managing time anymore. You're allocating attention, and attention is the real currency here. Be mindful of what you consume during this period. Not just media, but conversations, environments, emotional exchanges. Consumption is creation's quiet partner. What you take in influences what you produce, even if you don't notice it consciously. Right now, influence travels fast. You don't need to eliminate everything. Extremes create backlash. What matters is awareness. Noticing how you feel after interactions. Noticing whether something stabilizes you or scatters you. That feedback is reliable right now. Trust it. You may also find yourself less interested in explaining your internal process to others. That's wise. Some things need time to solidify before they can be articulated. Premature explanation diffuses energy. Let your changes become undeniable before they become discussable. This narrowing phase doesn't last forever. It's transitional. It's the compression before expansion takes a new shape. Think of it as a period where loose ends are being quietly removed, so momentum can move cleanly forward. It feels restrictive only if you're still attached to noise. Once focus stabilizes, creation becomes less volatile and more intentional. But you're not there yet. You're in the calibration window, where attention is powerful but still sensitive, where habits are being rewritten, where small choices carry disproportionate weight. This is why awareness matters more than confidence right now. Confidence without awareness becomes reckless. Awareness without confidence becomes hesitation. You're learning to balance both, to act without rushing, to pause without stalling, to choose without second-guessing. And here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. When creation energy is this strong, the environment starts responding before you feel ready. Opportunities appear that test your clarity. Distractions present themselves as rewards. Old patterns knock politely, pretending they've changed. That's not sabotage, that's examination. Examinations aren't meant to trick you. They reveal what you've actually internalized versus what you've just intellectually understood. And right now, your responses matter more than your intentions. So if things feel a little stripped down, a little quieter, a little more focused than usual, that's not a warning sign. That's preparation. Something is consolidating. Something is organizing itself around the version of you that's emerging instead of the one that was convenient to keep around. And once that consolidation completes, once focus locks in fully, the pace changes again. The responsiveness increases, the feedback loop tightens, and that's when creation stops feeling abstract and starts feeling undeniable. This is the moment people usually misinterpret. They assume the intensity means they should rush, that they should hurry up and make something happen before the window closes. That instinct is understandable. It's also the fastest way to misfire. High creation energy doesn't reward speed. It rewards accuracy. It responds to precision, not panic. The reason you're being asked to be careful right now is not because danger is approaching, but because your influence has increased. When influence increases, mistakes carry more weight. Not dramatic mistakes, subtle ones. The kind that don't look like errors until you're living inside their consequences. You may notice that what you say casually seems to land harder than before. Words stick, opinions echo. Offhand comments take on lives of their own. That's not coincidence. That's leverage showing itself. Your presence is carrying more signal than noise, which means everything you put out has more traction. This is not the time to speak carelessly or entertain thoughts just because they're familiar. Familiarity does not equal truth, and right now, truth organizes reality faster than comfort ever could. There's also something else happening beneath the surface. You're becoming more aware of your internal timing. When to move, when to pause, when to wait without stagnating. That sense doesn't come from logic. It comes from alignment between thought, emotion, and instinct. When those three stop fighting each other, decisions become cleaner. You don't need elaborate justifications. You don't need consensus. You feel the click when something is right, and the drag when it isn't. This is why things are about to get super interesting. Not because chaos is coming, but because clarity is. And clarity has a way of rearranging everything that relied on confusion to survive. Relationships built on imbalance feel awkward. Goals built on compensation feel hollow. Habits built on avoidance feel exhausting. None of this is punishment. It's exposure. And exposure is uncomfortable only if you insist on holding on to what's being outgrown. You might feel moments of sudden certainty followed by moments of doubt. That oscillation is normal. It's not regression. It's calibration. Think of it as your internal compass adjusting to a stronger magnetic field. The needle wobbles before it settles. If you try to force it, you slow the process. If you observe it, it stabilizes faster. Right now, observation is power. Watching your reactions, watching what triggers urgency, watching what creates calm. Those observations are not passive, they're active data collection. And data, when interpreted honestly, prevents unnecessary detours. You don't need to fix everything. You need to notice everything that consistently pulls you off center. This is also where dark humor sneaks in. Whether you like it or not, you start seeing the absurdity of old patterns. How much effort went into maintaining things that never really worked. How serious you were about problems that evaporate the moment you stop feeding them. You might catch yourself laughing internally at situations that once felt heavy. That's not dismissal, that's detachment. And detachment frees energy without requiring bitterness. Be careful not to confuse detachment with indifference. Indifference numbs, detachment clarifies. You still care, you just don't cling. You don't chase outcomes to feel complete. You don't grip scenarios to feel safe. You let things reveal what they are without forcing them to become what you hoped. That shift alone changes everything. As this intensity continues, you'll notice that creation becomes less about imagining and more about selecting. Options appear, but not all of them deserve attention. Some are distractions dressed up as opportunities. Some are tests disguised as rewards. The difference isn't how they feel over time. Distractions excite quickly and drain steadily. Aligned paths may feel understated at first, but they build momentum without friction. This is where patience becomes a strategic advantage, not passive waiting, active restraint, choosing not to react to every impulse, choosing not to chase every possibility, choosing to let things develop one layer deeper before engaging. Restraint right now is not limitation, it's direction. You may also feel a growing intolerance for self-deception. Small lies you tell yourself to stay comfortable start to feel abrasive. You can't unknow what you know anymore. And that's a good thing, even when it's inconvenient. Knowledge creates responsibility, but it also creates freedom. Freedom from cycles that only persist because they're never questioned. This is the phase where you realize that creation isn't about adding more to your life. It's about subtracting what doesn't belong, so what does belong has room to expand. Expansion without space just creates pressure. Space without expansion creates stagnation. Right now, both are happening in sequence. Clearing, then building, quietly, efficiently. Be mindful of how you frame your experiences during this period. The stories you tell yourself are blueprints. If you frame challenges as confirmation that something is wrong, you reinforce resistance. If you frame them as adjustments, you cooperate with refinement. Language matters more than usual because language shapes interpretation, and interpretation directs energy. You might notice that your tolerance for chaos drops. Not external chaos necessarily, but internal disorganization, scattered thoughts, emotional clutter, unfinished loops. These start demanding closure. You feel an urge to resolve, not because you're impatient, but because unresolved energy feels heavier now. Resolution frees capacity. Capacity allows creation to flow without obstruction. This is also why boundaries feel easier to enforce. Not because you've become harder, but because you've become clearer. Clear boundaries don't require aggression. They're communicated through consistency, through what you respond to and what you don't, through where you place your attention and where you withdraw it. Attention is endorsement right now. Use it deliberately. You may find that people project more onto you during this phase. Their expectations, their assumptions, their fears. That's not your responsibility to manage. Projection intensifies when someone senses coherence they don't yet have. Stay grounded. Don't absorb what isn't yours. Reflection is not absorption. As the pace increases, synchronicities may feel less like surprises and more like confirmations. Things line up not because you asked for them explicitly, but because your internal state is finally compatible with them. Compatibility is underrated. It's not about desire, it's about readiness. And readiness isn't something you declare, it's something demonstrated through behavior. This is where care becomes essential. Care in what you agree to, care in what you tolerate, care in what you rehearse mentally, care in what you dismiss. Every choice is a vote, not just for outcomes, but for identity. Who you are becoming is being reinforced through repetition right now, faster than usual. You might feel tempted to explain this process to others, to justify your shifts, to narrate your evolution. Resist that urge. Explanation dissipates energy. Integration concentrates it. Let your actions speak. Let your consistency communicate. The people who need explanations are rarely the ones who understand them anyway. As this phase unfolds, you'll notice that some desires sharpen while others dissolve. That's discernment refining itself. Desire without clarity creates chaos. Clarity without desire creates stagnation. You're learning to hold both without forcing either. That balance is rare, and it's the reason things are about to get interesting in ways you can't fully predict yet. There will be moments where you feel ahead of yourself, moments where you wonder if you're imagining the acceleration. Those moments pass quickly once results begin to surface. Not necessarily dramatic results, subtle shifts, easier movement, cleaner decisions, fewer internal debates. Those are the real indicators that creation is responding. Be careful with impatience. Impatience doesn't speed things up. It distorts perception. It makes you overlook incremental progress because it doesn't match imagined timelines. Timelines are flexible right now. Direction is not. Stay oriented toward what feels coherent, not what feels urgent. You may also notice an increase in personal accountability. You catch yourself faster when you slip into old habits. You correct course sooner. That's not self-criticism, that's self-respect. Respect for your own capacity to influence outcomes. Respect for the energy moving through you. As creation becomes undeniable, you'll realize that power doesn't feel like domination. It feels like responsibility without burden. Choice without confusion. Movement without force. That's the paradox most people miss. Real influence is quiet because it doesn't need to announce itself. It shows up in results. This is why the warning matters. Be careful. Not because something bad is looming, but because something powerful is active. Power amplifies whatever it touches. Treated casually, it creates mess. Treated deliberately, it creates momentum that feels almost unfair in its efficiency. You're not meant to isolate during this phase, but you are meant to be selective. Connection that supports clarity accelerates growth. Connection that feeds confusion drains it. Choose accordingly. You don't need to cut ties dramatically. Distance often establishes itself naturally when alignment shifts. As you move forward, trust the signals you're receiving from your own experience. The sense of rightness, the subtle resistance, the quiet pull. Those signals are accurate right now. Doubting them out of habit only delays what's already organizing itself. This period won't last forever. The intensity will stabilize, the sensitivity will ease. But what you establish now sets the tone for what follows. This is a foundation phase disguised as a quiet stretch. Miss it, and you recreate old patterns at higher volume. Use it, and you step into a level of coherence that makes progress feel almost effortless. So yes, be careful, be aware, be precise. Because the energy of creation is very intense right now. Not loud, not chaotic. Intense in the way a focused beam is intense. And once you align with it fully, once you stop feeding what drains you and start cooperating with what stabilizes you, things don't just change. They rearrange themselves around who you've become. And that's when you realize the warning was never about fear. It was about readiness.